Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. We are Deception Stoppers, America's only 4D education service. Thank God I'm not a lawyer. Thank God this is not a law firm. We don't advocate that you don't support your human offspring. We simply advocate that you make them in private, take care of them in private. Now, today I'm going to show you how to construct your notice to terminate your involuntary participation in the 4D crime in the 4D program weapon. Okay, this is part one. Okay. Now, first and foremost, okay, you're going to learn here that the 4D crime boss has the authority to terminate your unwanted association and participation with the unit and in the program. Okay, so first and foremost, you must identify and confront the 4D crime boss at his or her address. You get on Google and you Google who is the director of whatever state 4D child support agency. You may have to do a couple of different searches, but eventually you'll find it. If not, let us know. We'll show you how to do it. Okay. Now, after you identify them, you're going to put their name. All right. Now, just like they do you, you're going to use all capital letters when you describe their name. Okay. So this case in point, sorry about that. This was New Jersey, and you would put in here Patricia Bish. All right. Then, of course, you would have her address, all right, and city, state, and zip code, all capital letters. Very important. Okay. All right. Number two, you have to be able to prove, and you can prove, and you must prove that he or she has the authority to terminate your involuntary participation. Okay. And all you have to do is read. Again, gentlemen, do not try to reinvent the wheel. Okay. Take their information and use it against them. They can't come back and say you're wrong. Now, number A here, I pulled out of California. All right. FC subsection 1730 4B authorizes the crime boss of the unit to have direct supervision over operations. Now, here it is. No other local or state agency shall have any authority over the unit or the crime boss as to any function relating to its 4D operations. Gentlemen, the unit itself is just the name. All right, in California, it's the Department of Child Support Services, whatever the name is on it. Okay, who runs that unit? The crime boss. Okay, it doesn't run itself. It is not automated. It is ran by a human authority. All right, the crime boss is the human authority who has authority to terminate upon your request as required by the Constitution. Okay, and here's the check. No need for to file paperwork with the clerk of the court, and no need to wait for a signature of a judge. Okay. Letter B. This is also tells you that they have authority. All right. 45 CFR 302.12 A3. When the unit, e.g., the crime boss, delegates the functions of the 4D program to clerks of court, court sheriffs, district attorneys, attorneys general, and similar public attorneys and prosecutors and corrections officials with whom entered a 45 CFR 32.34 contract, the crime boss is responsible for securing compliance with the requirements of the 4D plan by these contracted officials. He or she is running things. Nobody else runs the 4D unit in the state. It is specifically ran by one person. It is an instrumentality of the federal government. It is not an arm of the state. All right. And letter C. Okay. Now, this is very important because they have what's called a case closure criteria. And this is where you're actually attacking them from. All right. 45 CFR 303.11, case closure criteria, section A, B, 7. The unit, which is the crime boss, shall establish a system for case closure. Okay. That's what you're asking for when you create this weapon, case closure. All right. The unit crime boss may elect to close a case if the case meets at least one of the following criteria, which is going to be number 7. And this is your biggest advantage. The 42 USC 666 A3C non-custodial pay rents location is unknown. And the unit, all right, Now here it's the unit because it's a unit as a whole. Different people has made diligent efforts using multiple sources, all of which have been unsuccessful to locate the non-custodial pay rent. Now, gentlemen, I'm going to come back to this in a minute, but remember, who created the non-custodial pay rent and who created you? All right. Now, let's go. Number one, or excuse me, number three, you must properly identify yourself. All right. Identity, gentlemen, is the sameness in law of evidence. The fact that a subject, person, or thing before the court is the same as it is represented, claimed, or charged to be. So, the non custodial pay rent is identified by a social security number. So, therefore, it is a subject, it is a thing, all right? Because the social security number is what? It is property of the Social Security Administration. Okay. How did your name get on somebody else's property? And if so, how come you're not getting compensated for it? All right. That social security number that you hold, gentlemen, is not yours. The name on it is not yours, and the number on it is not yours. Okay. Don't worry about all that Sister K trust BS. Just know this. It ain't yours. All right. That's false identification. So when they identify the non-custodial pay rent, all right, in the sameness in child support, all right, is that this property is what the subject or thing before the court is the same as represented and claimed to be. Now, when you identify yourself properly, you're going to use the Constitution. Okay. The preamble to the Constitution, and here it is, gentlemen. Now remember this, okay? I'm going to read this and I'm going to tell you what this means in a second. All right, the preamble to the Constitution. It says, "We, the people of the state of New Jersey," and I'm coming from New Jersey today. All right, "grateful to Almighty God, which is ecclesiastic, all right, which means biblical, for the civil and religious liberty which He hath so long permitted us to enjoy, and looking to Him for a blessing upon our endeavors." Okay, perfect. Now, judges, public officials, all public officials swear an oath what? So help them God. That's also ecclesiastic. All right, which means the Constitution is, I won't say it's organic, but it's biblical. It's ecclesiastic law. It's canon's law. All right. Judges are subject to canon's law. Look up canon's law. It's ecclesiastic law. Okay. Now, herein, all right, so we're going to confirm this. It says under this is New Jersey Constitution, Article 1, Section 3. Here it is. "No man shall be deprived of the inestimable privilege of worshiping Almighty God in a manner agreeable to the dictates of his own consciousness." So the Constitution provides rights of men. Title 4D, which is 42 USC 651, subjugates non-custodial pay rents, which you're going to find are two different things created by two separate entities. All right. So because it's ecclesiastic and the people are grateful to Almighty God, you go to their Biblios, okay? The same one that they swear a Bible on, King James, or swear their oath upon, the King James Bible. All right. Genesis 1 and 26. God said, "Let us create man in our image and in our likeness." Okay. It doesn't say, "Let me create man." It says us and our, which tells you there's more than one God, but we're not going to get to that. Okay. So God created man. All right. If you go to Genesis 3 and 22, then the Lord said, "Behold, the man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil." All right, man. It doesn't say, "Let us create non-custodial pay rents in our image and likeness." It doesn't say, "Behold, the non-custodial pay rent has become as one of us, knowing good and evil." All right, expressio unius persis alterius. The mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. Okay. Definition of man: the male sex of the human species above the age of puberty. Okay. Now, these are where your rights come in. New Jersey Constitution, Article 1, subsection 1. All men are by nature free and independent and have certain natural and unalienable rights, among which are those of enjoying and defending life and liberty, of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. Let me ask you a question. You're a man. As a man, you are free. Free means not subject to the legal constraint of another, having the power to follow the dictates of your own free will. Okay. So if you have the power to follow the dictates of your own free will, do you want to be part of do you want to participate in the 4D associate the 4D program? No, you don't. All right. And you can't be legally forced to. As a man, you are independent. Independent means not dependent, not subject to control, restriction, modification, or limitation from any given outside source. Don't they have modifications in child support? How are you subject to that if you're independent? Okay. Know your rights, gentlemen. Now, as far as your natural and unalienable rights, which are those of enjoying and defending life and liberty, okay, that comes from the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, all right, that men are endowed by their creator with the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You're not getting any of that under the Title 4D regime, gentlemen. That's the purpose of this letter. Okay. That's why you're going to tell them, hey, you know what? You're infringing upon my rights. You're going to stop. You have the authority to stop, and you're going to stop. And if you don't stop, I'm going to sue you. All right, keeping it moving. Now, second thing you have to do on your document, you've identified the crime boss. You're going to her as a man who's by nature equally free and independent. All right, we'll get to that on part 2. All right. And now what you're going to do is you're going to separate yourself by identifying the 42 USC 651, the 666A3C, and the 45 CFR 303.1 A1 non-custodial pay rent. Okay. Now, if you look at these statutes, gentlemen, they all deal with non-custodial pay rents. Subsection 651 is the purpose of what you call child support. 666 is the requirement to improve its purpose, and the 45 CFR 303.100, all right, pertains to garnishment and wage withholding of a non-custodial pay rent. Okay, so this weapon is to the crime boss, and it is regarding the non-custodial pay rent, which is the all caps name that they usually send on that letter. All right. In this segment, we'll call it John Dumbass. All right. The non-custodial pay rent, all right, pursuant to 42 USC subsection 666A3C is positively identified by the Social Security number. And do not forget, check it out. All right. I'm going to put this in here. All right, let's go here. All right. And 20 CFR, oops, caps on that. Let's save this for later. 422.103D, all right, renders the non-custodial pay rent property. All right, don't take my word for it, gentlemen. Look, Google it. By all means, Google this. All right, and then what you do is you Google, you look on the back of the Social Security number that you hold. All right, it tells you right there, this card is the property of Social Security Administration and must be returned upon request. All right, it's not your card. It does not belong to you. The name is not yours. Again, how did your name get on somebody else's property? Now, the other fundamental thing that you should know is the non-custodial pay rent is what's known as an ens legis. All right, and we're going to go back to what I showed you in Genesis 1:26. Ens legis is a creature of the law, an artificial being, in contrast with what? A human being. Applied to corporations considered as deriving their existence totally from the law. Where do you derive your existence from? God. All right, right here, look. And God said, let us create man in our image and likeness. Go down here, right? Artificial persons, okay, are created and devised by human laws. It is an ens legis, gentlemen. It does not exist. All right. But because governments are corporations, they can only deal with other corporations. That's why they do it this way. That's a whole other story. All right. So you've separated yourself by using the preamble because you're coming from the Constitution, which only applies to men. Then you're identifying the non-custodial pay rent, which is property. And it also has a customer ID number or a case number. Remember, gentlemen, Title 4D is it's a business for profit. It profits from customers. Go to your child support. Go to any child support website. Now, I'd say most have still had it. A lot of them have taken it off. All right, customer service. Okay, so this non-custodial pay rent, you've identified it. It's property. It has a case number. All right, it's an ens litis, a creature of law. It's an artificial person, which means it's not you. And this is why you are addressing this situation. See, the non-custodial pay rent, that's what is subject to Title 4D. You as a man are not, because you're by nature equally free and independent. Okay? Now, furthermore, the non-custodial pay rent, remember right here it says created and devised by human laws for the purpose of government. What purpose was that? 42 USC 651. All right, if you read it, it says for the purpose of enforcing the support obligations owed by what? A non-custodial pay rent, which is what? Property. All right, you can't be property, gentlemen. That's a violation of the 13th Amendment. Again, this is why you are scribing this letter. Now, check this out. This is going to be your header, and we'll stop it after this one. You can tune in for part 2 to get this. All right, there's three paragraphs. Okay, this is going to be the first paragraph. All right, this is going to be your notice to terminate your involuntary participation. All right, and it's going to say you in New Jersey. It's going to say Patricia Risch, director of the 45 CFR 301.1, a loan detached and disconnected organizational unit operating in this state by due process of law, are herein served with this constitutional notice requiring you to terminate your association and with the unit and your involuntary participation in the federal and state partnership. Now, this is the basis for this opening statement. Okay? If you go, all right, I'll put these links in the description box. This is the first basis on why you were terminated. Okay? Office of Child Support, this is the website up here in the blue. All right, OCSS is the federal agency that oversees or supervises the National 4D program. Okay? It clearly states that we partner with federal, state, tribal, and local governments. Okay? You can also confirm that on this website right here. Okay? Now, you go to communicating with our customers, which is another federal website ran by the federal OCSS. All right, it says we want to equip our partners with the latest tools and information to run the 4D program smoothly. We keep customers and partners informed by updating our website frequently with policy changes. All right, Title 4D has nothing to do with the law. They are policies. Okay. Now, here is the benefactor, the crux of why one of the crux. There's three of them on why you are composing this weapon, and this is the weapon, gentlemen, that you're going to be using in Exhibit A to get you in front of a federal court. Okay. Key words here: partnership. Okay. They are in a partnership. Look, they're partners with the state, the government. They're partners. Partnership is what? An association of two or more persons as co-owners of a business for profit. All right. Association. Let's go to the constitutional mandate. The First Amendment, all right, and Article 1, Section 1, Section 18 of the New Jersey Constitution guarantees and protects your inalienable right to not associate with the partnership. A partnership is an association, is it not? Yes, it is. And therefore, you cannot be compelled to associate with it under the Constitution. All right? You can't be compelled to associate it with the partnership, expressive or intimate. This includes your inalienable right to not participate in the federal state partnership. The 4D program is federally funded, John. All right. If you did not, it's a 4D program. In order to participate in any 4D or any federal program, you have to apply for it. And if you did not apply for it, all right, then you were ineligible to participate. They've been getting y'all. All right. Let's keep it moving. So, because the 4D agency is an association of two or more persons of a business for profit, All right, businesses profit from customers. And if you go to the child support website, the federal one, it tells you our customer service teams work with parents. What parents are involved in Title 4D? Custodial and what? Non-custodial paid rents. And be honest with you, the custodial paid rent doesn't even exist either because it is also identified by a social security number. All right. So you got a fictitious entity pitting you against another fictitious entity. So it's three fictitious entities: the 4D agency, the non-custodial pay rent, and the custodial pay rent. All right. So, gentlemen, the purpose, again, this is for the first paragraph. I'm going to show you how to write 3 paragraphs. This is part 1. Okay. So you are identifying the 4D crime boss. All right. You are proving that he or she has authority to terminate. And the reason you want to prove that he or she has authority to terminate, because when you sue them in federal court, was a judge, he or she had the authority to terminate. But instead of doing that, they wanted to keep getting those federal funds and was indifferent to my rights. Okay. The Constitution is clear. Any person who's subject to the deprivation of your rights under color of law and by conduct deprives you of your rights and immunities secured by the Constitution is liable to you. You only got to prove those 2 things. I asked them to stop violating my rights. All right. And they were violating my rights under Title 42, right, of the United States Code, subsection 651, and the mark of the beast, 666. This is also a violation of your religious beliefs. Okay. And Title 42 was never enacted into positive law. It's a non-positive law title. It's presumed law. All right. And as you know, a presumption is what? Mandatory unless you rebut it. Once you rebut it, okay, she's supposed to stop. Hey, you're on my foot. Get off my foot. Child support says the hell with you and your foot. Now your foot breaks after you told him you was on it. This is indifference, gentlemen. All right, this is step 1. This is first paragraph that you're going to write. You identify the 4D crime boss. And also, incidentally, because you're using, let me give you this one here. I'm going to go over to the next one. You're going to be using your name. All right. Remember, the all caps name, that's what's called as an item sonans. An item sonans, it almost sounds like your name, but it's not. All right. You don't spell proper nouns with all capital letters. This is also known as capitis minutia maxima, the highest loss of status that one could ever obtain. All right, because it's property. Now, John of the family dumbass, a name is a designation of a human being or firm or corporation. All right. A human being's name consists of one or more given Christian names, which is John, and a family name, which by process of elimination makes John Dumbass a corporation. Remember, all right? Human beings have family names. Corporations have the last name, and it's spelled in all capital letters. I'm the Ahmed Osiris, folks. All right, this is a very important method for you to be learning because this termination demand will get you in federal court. All right, this is part 1. There's 3 paragraphs. Okay, we showed you what to do with the first paragraph. All right, second is going to be part 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you the body, all right, and the basis of the terminations. All right, which we already know now is what? We know that it's a partnership. It's a partnership and an association between more persons as co-owners of a business for profit. You have the right to not associate therewith. Don't take my word for it. Google the right to associate. It is tied with the First Amendment. All right, you have the right to not associate intimately or expressively, and that is one of the main purposes of this weapon that you're going to learn how to create. And number 2, okay, this is how you're going to get in federal court by proving you were subject to color of law and this conduct deprived you of your rights and immunities so secured. All right, folks, the email's on the screen. You have any questions, bang the email. All right, we can provide you with a phone consultation, or we can provide you with class, which includes all the books you will need to master the 4D technique. All right, and we look forward to hearing from you. Enjoy your day, enjoy this knowledge, and I'll be seeing you at part 2 very soon. Hotep.